big beautiful bill currently in the Senate right now after being passed in the House. I would like to do a updated 2028 election look, sort of looking at if the big beautiful bill does pass and maybe if it doesn't and there's some changes to it, and how likely or how much the big beautiful bill affects the 2028 election. And I do think the biggest talking point in the 2028 election between both parties will be the budget. Now, I still do think JD Vance will win the nomination unless if Trump just expands the debt so much to where it starts hurting American families, and we could possibly see someone like even Rand Paul winning the Republican nominee. Although I don't really think he's too marketable, so I don't really know if he could win. I could see JD Vance still winning. You sort of distancing himself from Trump, kind of like how Kamala Harris did in 2024. Um, Marco Rubio's pretty centered conservative. Who are some Republicans that speak out against Trump? Or we could possibly in the 2028 Republican primaries have sort of a John McCain scenario where the Republicans moved a little bit farther away from the incumbent president's policies, because we can all agree that John McCain was pretty far or farther away from George Bush on the political compass. A lot closer to Obama than George Bush was on the political compass. And then Josh Shapiro, of course, popular governor from Pennsylvania, and also Pete Buttigieg has been going on a lot of podcasts lately, or been going around, and I could see him doing well in the primaries, and Josh Shapiro was deciding to pick him to be his VP. I also thought about making AOC the VP, but a little bit less likely, I think. Anyway, we'll go ahead and start with all the safe states, which I have Florida and Ohio safe in this scenario. I'm recording. Um, all the usual safe states. The only state that I think won't be safe that Trump had safe is Texas, because we did see in the. Let me also pull up the 2020 election map. New York Times. Here we go, yeah. Because in 2020, Trump was only. Oh my goodness. Will not let me look at it? We'll go to CNN. In the 2020 election, Trump only won Texas by around 5%. And Trump, of course, had a higher disapproval rating than he does right now. But if trends continue, we could see Trump's approval rating kind of be how it was back then. But of course, Trump has rebounded. Also, I do think Elon Musk disliking Trump could go either way, because a lot of people don't like Elon Musk. And some people might be more favorable towards Trump's policies if Elon Musk says he doesn't like them. So Texas could really go either way. But I think I'm just going to have Texas be likely and go to Republicans by around 9%. To be safe for me, you have to go to Republicans for around 10%. JD Vance just doesn't have that Trump magic. And of course, Republicans are the incumbent, so they usually do a little bit worse than whenever Republicans aren't the incumbent party. And same with Democrats. So I think Texas probably goes to JD by around 9 to 8.5%. We'll go to safe states for Josh Shapiro, which will be California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Illinois, Hawaii, most New England states besides New Hampshire and this District of Maine. Oh, of course, West Virginia is safe. And this District of Nebraska. So now after doing off the safe states, we have 180 to 218, or well, I guess with just the safe states, it's 180 to 178. We'll now move on to likely states, which as I said, Texas is a likely state, coming in at around 9%. Trump was able to win it by around 14. Yeah, 14% this last time. Trump won it by around 10% in the 2016 election. Then I believe, and then in 2020, he had a 5 point drop, or Republicans had a 5 point drop in Texas. So I think that the same thing will happen, but JD and Rubio will be able to take it by around that 9% margin. Uh, Democrats, or Kamala Harris, took Minnesota only by around 4%, but in the 2020 election, they were able to take it by around 5, 6, 7%. So I could see Democrats taking it by around that 7% margin. But I think Democrats will take it by around a 6% margin, or 6.5% margin, somewhere around there. I also think they take New Jersey by around a 6.5% margin. And I do think New Mexico could possibly be likely. Kamala Harris was only able to win it by around 6%, and Biden won New Mexico by like 11%. So I think Democrats just stay at that level of around a 6%. You I don't really know if Josh Shapiro and Pete Buttigieg could campaign too well in New Mexico. So I think New Mexico really only goes to Democrats by around that 5% margin. I do think New Mexico will be shifting to the right. This district of Maine obviously goes to Republicans. And we go over, and I want to look at Virginia real quick. Virginia went to Kamala Harris by around 6 points, and in the 2020 election, it went to Joe Biden by around, 10 points. So I think Democrats rebounce in Virginia, and they take it by around that 8 points, somewhere around there. I then want to go back over to Arizona, which Trump was able to win Arizona by 6 points, and he only lost it by 40,000 votes in 2020. So I do think Republicans do hold on to Arizona, and they take it by around that 5% margin. I do want to move up to Nevada, which Biden was able to take by around 3% last election, but then Trump took by around 4%. So I do think Republicans do hold on to Nevada, and it goes to Republicans by around that 2, I'll say 1% margin, because JD just doesn't have that Trump magic. I do take off about 1% of what I think, just because JD doesn't have that Trump magic. We'll now move over to North Carolina, which, even in a down year for Trump, which was 2020, he was still able to win North Carolina, which was the only swing state that Trump was able to win in 2020. And it always feels like Democrats have a chance to take North Carolina, but they never do. Trump took it by around 3% in 2024, and about 1%, 1-ish percent in 2020. So I do have a Republican still holding on to North Carolina by around same margin as they take Arizona by around that 3% margin. I then want to move down to Georgia, which Georgia was one of the only states to have a couple counties in the entire country, really, to shift to the left. Because look at this. Everything's shifting to the right, maybe besides in Colorado, besides Washington, and maybe a few places in Utah. But the biggest indicator that points out about Georgia, or the biggest place that you see shift right is, or left, is Georgia. And if Democrats continue to increase their margins in Georgia, we could very easily see Georgia go to the left. I don't know if Josh Shapiro and Pete Buttigieg would do good campaigning in Georgia. Joe Biden did win Georgia, but that was only by 1%. It was very close. What was this? Like 10,000 votes. And then, but by winner, Trump was able to take it by around 2%. So I could see Marco Rubio and JD Vance taking it. So I will be giving Georgia to JD Vance and Marco Rubio by around that 1-ish percent margin. Maybe that's debatable. We then move into New Hampshire, which Kamala was able to win, so I'm giving it to the Democrats by around that 30% margin. We'll then move down to Pennsylvania, which doesn't need much talking about. Trump won it by around that 1.8% margin, but Josh Shapiro is the governor there. Josh Shapiro is going to be able to take this by around that 2% margin. We then move up to Michigan, which of course went to Trump, but in the 2020 election it went to Biden. It went to Biden by around 2.4%, and it only went to Trump by around, trying to think of quick math, 1.4%. So we see in the years where Trump's the incumbent, Democrats do better in Michigan than whenever the Democrats are the incumbent. So we'll be having Josh Shapiro and Pete Buttigieg take Michigan. And also, Pete Buttigieg has ties to Michigan, which gives them Michigan. And if Michigan's going to Trump, or sorry, the Democrats in this 2028 scenario, I will be having Wisconsin. It voted more for the Democrats. Democrats have a stronger stronghold in Milwaukee and Madison. So I will be having Josh Shapiro and Pete Buttigieg take Wisconsin by a slim margin. So yes, this is my updated prediction on the 2028 election. Anyways, and also I would like to say Georgia is debatable. I could see it going to the Democrats, but I'm gonna give it to the Republicans in this one. Anyway, thank you all for watching and peace out. Also, at 350 subs, I will be getting a new mic, so if y'all could please sub. That would really help my channel. Peace out.